Okay. All right. So for our roof, what we want to do is draw our roof boundary. So go to architecture. So the roof. So we've got different options here. I'm going to show you both. So the first one I'm going to look at is roof by footprint. Okay, and I'm going to select. Let's go to level 1. I want to select these walls over here. Okay, so I'm just going to do the roof plan in level 1. So I'm going to pick the walls. I can use the pick wall tools. Just means if I use the pick wall tools, if the wall moves, it will move with the wall automatically. And I'm just going to offset it so it's the exterior side. So for my gable ends, their overhang is usually only 150. Okay, and the overhangs where you've got a pitch is usually in the region of 350, 300. Okay. All right, just remember, I don't want my gable ends to have a pitch, so I say defined slope, and I want these to have a slope of 35 degrees or 30 degrees. Okay, finish. Okay, go to 3D view. So there it's created my roof. Okay, now then just going to have a look at the roof structure itself. I want to change this ever so slightly, so I'm going to say rename. I'm going to call this tiles. Okay, so with a tile roof, you're going to have a substrate, a substructure, which is about 50 mils, which is your tiles. Okay, here I'm just going to use tiles for now. I hope there is roof tiles here already. Roofing tiles, that will work. Then I'm going to insert another layer. Okay, so this will be my core boundary. So this will be substrate as well, and this is going to be your batten, a 38 timber batten, for example, and I'm going to include one more, which will be, you can make the structure. I'm just going to leave everything as substrate or finish. Okay, here this will be a 114 timber roof truss. Okay, these we can quickly give them a material of timber. Structure timber. Technically, it's the same material for both. So you can double click, select everything here, Control C, Control V. Okay, no, doesn't like it. Didn't get the whole layer. Yeah. Okay, so here I just want to edit this material quickly. Okay, so when it comes to determining its substrate, and it's just, I'll explain this in a second when we use the override of the line material, but generally you want structure to join with structure, substrate to join with substrate. So if another roof had to join this, it's just how they join. So you give objects or you give layers hierarchy so that a structure will always join with structure. A substrate will always join with substrate. And I'll show that when I draw a section of wall as well. Okay, the joining condition also, if it's within a core, it also works within the core of the core function as well. Okay, but it's just how things join, and it's how Revit will also read. If it does structural analysis, it reads, it knows what is structure, what is substrate, what is. Okay, so that's why we give them classifications. Okay, so this, let's get rid of the thermal. We don't need that. Yes, and here I'm just going to replace this asset. And I'm just going to use it in appearance, and I'm just going to find timber wood. I'll just call this South Africa. We use oak. No, pine. Sorry, pine. Just use normal little pine. Press apply. Press OK. I just change one last setting here so it looks correct. Use render material. Press apply. Okay. All right. So I'll just leave this all as substrate, substrate, substrate. Okay, so press OK, press apply. Okay, now it's changed the appearance of my roof. If I go to my section now, sorry, if I go to my section, what it does is it divides the wall up into the different layers. Okay, BG. It should be using the same principle like we use here. Yeah, but this roof, it's not showing exactly the same as it should. But anyway, generally what I do with the roof, let's go to VG, imported object styles. Okay, roofs, generally because we use concrete, you use quite a thick layer. Sometimes I will scale this down, but generally what I do is I get rid of this information later on. A lot of this information I do get rid of. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly edit this as well. So that's, I can maybe make, yeah, I'll leave it exactly as it is. Substrate, this I can maybe make finish, press OK, apply, okay. And then just make, and you can see how it's adjusting the line weights. I'm going to make this finish as well.
Doors closing.
So that works a bit better because now it's showing me that's my roof tiles. The rest of the stuff you hardly see in here, you're going to put in your timber battens and that kind of thing. Okay. All right, so that's one way you create a roof. Okay, once you've got a roof, you can tab all of the walls and you can attach them to the roof. Okay, so it closes off the, let me just get rid of the site because it attaches them to the roof. Okay, let's go to section. Now you can see that this is joining that, so substrate is joining to substrate, which is correct because this stuff goes through and they'll build the roof up to the underside of the roof sheeting. Okay, but it makes a joint, so here you might have to use some line work to show how the roof goes past. So in essence, that's starting to look correct, but we do annotate a ridge capping and we do draft over a lot of this, but at least I've got my top rafter. So my bottom rafter, I can just draft in. But there's another video where I will show you where I only use the tile layer and I actually make a family of a truss that I use instead of using this technique. But this is a very quick way to give you your build up of your roof. Okay. So this is where your battens would sit, for example. This is where your battens would sit. And you can use a component here, which will be a timber section. Okay, and that will be a 38 by 38 timber batten, for example. Duplicate, and that will be a 38 by 38. Look, this is different for steel construction as well because you get different sizes, but in essence, I'm just going to give you guys a principle. So there's your batten. Okay, this is at quite a big scale. So if I went 1 to 50, there's my batten, and it's the correct size. Okay, and you can use duplicated families to get that right, but here are my roof battens in essence. Okay, so once you've got a roof in place, what's neat about once you've got your roof in place, I can then start adding my gutters, for example. So I can put my gutter on here, put my gutter on here. All right, I can go back to architecture, roofing. I can put a fascia board now. So I want a fascia board over here and there. Generally, we put fascias on this side as well. And then your gutter sits off it. So here's your fascia board just to close the roofs, eaves and verges. Okay. So if I go to my section now, so here I've got my, and then these I just need to offset, so vertical offset, horizontal offset, so that will be offset by 15, for example, and it might be offset down by a certain amount. Okay. Yeah, look, that timber batten will only be invisible in section. It's because it's pretty a drafted object. You don't want to go and model every batten. Trust me, it's not worth your while. So when you cut a section through, and it's an object that you never see, you never really see it other than through a section. So if you're taking 3D views and all that kind of thing, you don't model it. That's why I use Revit's families to kind of give me this information. Okay. And there's a technique, I'll show you how I draft in this. So this will have to drop, because this will drop minus 50, for example, because that's where, so maybe minus 70, because this sits beneath this top layer over here. Okay, so does this. So this horizontal offset minus 70, for example. Okay, then this layer will go past. But what's neat, so in 3D view, in essence, this top layer will go into the gutter. But from elevation purposes, this is perfect. For your model, this is perfect. But maybe for your section, it's not strictly true. So what I can do is you've got two options. I draft a lot of this in, and I'll explain that later. That's something we'll cover in a later session. But in essence, what you can do now is in view, you can go and you can change the cut profile. You can change how this profile works. So in essence, this will go past a bit. And this is usually at a, okay, and then I'll finish the command. It should have, don't know why it didn't work. Switch off line weights, I don't think I joined it correctly. This must be in that direction. There we go. Okay, so in essence, that's what happens when you get to your. No, you literally copy and paste. So from this view, you can copy these and you can paste them into the next view. But for that, for example, let me just show you this quickly. For that one, I would say it's a repeating detail. Edit type. I'll duplicate this and make a new one. Timber stud. Sorry, I'm making this very quickly. Here, I would go and find my timber section. 38 by 38, and these usually repeat by 600 mil from center to center, fixed distance. So here I'll probably say maximum spacing, make it 650. Okay, press OK, and here I would go and draw in my. Okay, so here I would go and draw these in. So this is really quick. So that's how my stud work will work. And then I'll use these spare ones. So say now the spacing doesn't quite work, but it might work for this. So it probably stops there and starts there. But this one, what's neat about it, you can, sometimes you can hide these, but generally that's where your spacing will stop. And I'll put two ones there, and then I'll draft in my. So this is very easy. And to mirror this, quite straightforward and easy. And you can duplicate this to the next view. So you can see I've done my roof detail very quickly. I'll just have to show where my bottom truss goes in. But in essence, you can see that I've got my fascia boards, I've got my gutters in place, and 3D view. Okay. So generally, sometimes this differs. So you might have to play around with this a bit. Okay. So you can never get a perfect situation, but it does give you enough from which to work. Okay. So generally, I'll put the fascia board up and I'll draft around it. But at least from a 3D perspective, it looks correct. Okay. All right, that's in a nutshell. So very quickly, I've got my section going, I've got my slab going, and you can see a lot of your drafting's done already. Okay. So let's get rid of this roof. So now there's another option to do a roof. Okay. So architecture. Okay, let me just go back. Say now, for example, I edit this roof plan now because I want to have a pitch on either side. So if I go back here and I say, actually, this needs to be offset 350 as well. Okay, and the pitch needs to be defined slope. That also needs to be 30 degrees. Look what, and I'm going to show you what happens now. If I go back to my view. Okay, so to adjust these roofs on the fly is very easy. You just have to re-establish your gutters all the way around. So here you'll just need to add, and you can add your gutters all the way around. And because it's established with the roof already, okay, there and there. And then the last command you can add is a soffit, for example. So architecture, roof, you can add soffit boards as well. Level 1, yes, and you can select. Now, soffit board works slightly differently. So I'm going to use level 2, and I'm going to use my X-ray view because your soffit board will go from that side of the. So it's creating a plan view in essence. So your soffit will be from the inside side of the fascia and the exterior side of the wall. So here I'm going to use tab tool. It'll try and find. Sometimes it will try and find all of them, but just find the exterior side of the wall. Okay, let's say there, I want that side of the wall, I want this side of the wall, I want this side of the wall. Okay, I think it hasn't picked the, so here I'm just going to switch this off. It's picked some strange line there for some reason. Just sometimes with model hatches, it'll try and select the hatch, so that's one thing you're just going to be cautious of. Okay, so there we go. That's all I want to do. And then one more line here, pick line, and you can make them slope as well. Okay, it's telling me there's an open edge. Okay, use my trim tool. Okay, I know there's an open edge. Trim there and there. Finish. Okay, if I go to my section, you might have to adjust your soffit. Okay, this is my soffit here, which is not great. It should be very thin. This is usually only 15 mil. Okay, and it's going to be on level 2. Now you can move it down, so offset minus 100. So here you can adjust it into the correct level. Okay, it's probably going to sit over here somewhere, so minus 250. That's about right. Okay, so if I go to my 3D view, now it's created a soffit board for me. So a lot of buildings will have these soffits as well. Okay, so if I take a quick section box to this, there's my soffit board, there's my fascia board, and there's my gutter. Okay, and then this roof overhangs. There's a technique that I'll show you that I sometimes employ to, I make a sweep that follows the roof that goes into the gutter. Okay, but in essence, from a 3D view, from your elevations view, it will look correct. Okay. From a section view, you'll just have to do some rework there, but in essence, you get the idea. Okay. All right, so that's one way of creating a roof. Okay, so let's delete this roof. Okay, get rid of the soffit as well. Okay, so the next type of roof you want to create is like a curved roof or an arc roof. Okay, so for this, you've got two options. What I like to do is in my plan view, I like to create a reference plan, and I'm going to create a reference plan here. I'm going to call this reference plan roof. Okay, the reason why I create this reference plane, if I go to 3D view and I say set work plane, and I've named that reference plane, it allows me to work with that reference plane and create a roof from. So if I want to go and create a roof, you can either use an elevation. So if I went to north, let's go to ground floor, I think it's east or west. So you can either work in east or west. Just make sure that you set the work plane for roof here as well and say show. So it'll show the plane that you're working with. So let's have a quick look and see how we use this roof tool. So for this roof by extrusion, it works by using elevation. So I'm going to say roof by extrusion, and I'm going to say it will host on level 2. Here's level 2 here. Now, because I've got a working plane established, so what I can do now is I can use a spline and sorry, wrong tool. Do that again. I'm sure I clicked that the first time, but anyway. So here I can go and create quite an organic shaped roof. Okay. That's what I want to create, and then say finish. And if I go to my 3D view, you see it'll create my roof. Okay, but the difference now is in level 2. I'm just going to make this look down. So unlimited, press apply. Okay, so this roof will start. However, here you have to tell it to work from a certain, so that hatch pattern is terrible for the roof. Let me just go and fix that quickly. So roof tiles, what I tend to do for roof tiles is I use a vertical model, usually by 250, press OK, press OK. Remember, make this a light gray so it's not overbearing. Generally for roof tiles and that, I use a vertical. Okay, Here you can use a dimension, so from the edge of the wall to the edge of this, and if I tab until I select the edge, I can make this 150 from the edge, for example. Likewise with this, tab until you find the edge of the roof, it'll automatically try and find the closest wall. Okay, so now I've got a nice organic shaped roof. The next thing I need to do is select the roof, select all the walls, and I can say attach base. Okay, so now I've got a nice organic shaped roof. And you can adjust it. And every time, if you want to adjust the profile, you're going to go to Edit Profile. What's nice is because it's associated to that working plane that I've created, it doesn't matter. I can go to West View, East View. So here, if I go and play with this shape, I can fine tune. And what's great about this now is that it'll keep its relationship to the walls. Okay, so I can do that, for example, finish. And there we go. Keeps its relationship with the walls. Let me just make this perspective so we can read this a bit better. Okay, so, and what's neat is these tools still work. So here I can go and, sometimes I have found that the fascias, depends how organic the shape becomes, sometimes the fascia won't work that well. See, it won't work in that instance. So you'll have to use an in-place family to do that. But it will work well on these types of edges. Okay, but generally that won't need a fascia. You might find you'll only need a fascia on the side with the gutter. Okay, or this might, because you've made it quite thick already, this might just get a gutter, for example. Okay, so you can still use your gutter tool. So here you can say gutter, and I can put my gutter over here. Just remember, you'll need to do your offsets over here, horizontal, vertical, that kind of, okay. So here you can flip it. It gives you those handles to flip in which direction the gutter is supposed to work, up, down. Okay, it just flips the, but in essence, if I go to my section view now, section view, okay, now I've got a nice shaped roof. Okay. Okay, now for the last one, this starts getting quite complicated. Okay, so I'm going to go and create a quick mass. So mass, I'm going to say mass in place. Okay, so I'm going to go mass, in place mass. Press OK. Yeah, that's fine. Call it mass 1. Okay, now I want to create a level 2. I want to create a very organic shaped roof for this building. Okay, and I'm going to use masses. So what I try and do is I'm going to use reference lines every time, and I create a reference line with a series of points. Okay, then what I do is I copy this mass. You'll see what I'll do now. I'm copying this reference plane, sorry. Copy, multiple. I'll make 4 for now. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of these lines and I'm going to say create form. So what it does is it creates a flat shape, but because I've driven it with these lines, what it will start doing is it will start creating a very organic shapes. Sorry, my mistake. Let me just get rid of this one, get rid of this one. Sorry, I should have gone to the correct view to do this. Okay, let's get rid of this one as well. Let's go to level 2. Cancel. Yeah, I'm going to create that. And I want to create cancel. Let's select the shape first, delete, and get rid of that. Okay, so let's go to my east elevation. Okay, and I'm going to set that work plane roof as my work plane. I'm going to create a reference plane here again. I'm going to use this tool here. So here I'm going to make quite an organic shaped roof. Okay, then I'm going to go to my level 1 and level 2. Okay, let's go to north elevation. So I'm going to grab that reference line I created. I'm going to copy it. Copy, and I'm going to say multiple. I'm going to say unconstrained. So I'm going to copy it to the end, and I'm going to copy it one more time, unconstrained, to the middle. I'll copy 2 more. Okay, so let's go to 3D view. So in 3D view, I've got a series of these, and they've got grips that I can work with. So I'm going to select all of them, and I'm going to say make. So here I'm going to say create 4. Okay, I'm going to finish this, get rid of this roof for the time being. I'm going to go back into my mass, edit place. Now what's nice about this, if I start moving these grips, you'll see that my roof will start becoming very organic. Okay, so here I can move this point down. So here I can make this one. So grab this end one. So here I can grab this point down. I can grab this point there. So here I can make an extremely organic shaped roof. Okay, so this is quite, you can really go to town with these roofs and how they work. Okay, so here I've got a very organic shaped roof, almost like a mesh material. Okay, so once I've done with the mass, okay, and in my project I want to go and say architecture, roof, by face, pick the face, create roof. There it's created my very organic shaped roof. Okay. And what's neat about it, if I go back into the mass, so if I go edit in place, and I go back to this mass, and whatever I change, okay, and I say finish, and I grab this roof, and I say update face, it leaves a strange pattern on the face of the, they call it Z clashing between your, all you have to do is make sure that your mass is no longer visible in the view. So you need to go to massing and sites. Here you're going to switch it off. So here I've got a very organic shaped roof. Good luck putting gutters on this. It's going to be almost impossible to put a gutter on here. But I'll show there is a technique where you can actually use it. But what's also neat is I can select all of these walls and say attach base. Okay, so if I cut a section through here, okay, and you can see that the correct things are trying to join to the correct things. Your structure usually goes to the wall, they build the wall up. Depends, you can make this work in different ways. Okay, right, so in a nutshell, that's how roofs work.